Hello Leo, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Elizabeth Angel Tarot. Okay Leo, let's start the reading. Before I say anything else, I need you to hear this clearly, without flinching, without second guessing, without that voice in your head that has been telling you for too long that maybe you imagined it. Maybe it was not as bad as you remember. Maybe you are being too sensitive. You are not imagining anything. What happened to you was real. The pain was real. The betrayal was real. The way this person moved through your life and left damage in her wake that was not a misunderstanding or an overreaction or a difference in perspective. It happened. And the universe, with its long memory and its perfect accounting, has not overlooked a single detail. Now, I want to do something with this reading that I feel is important, because there is a word sitting at the center of this message, and it is the word pay. And I think when you clicked on this, when something inside you responded to this title, you had a very specific idea of what that word means. You imagined consequences. You imagined loss befalling the person who hurt you. You imagined the universe delivering some form of visible, unmistakable justice that would finally confirm what you have known all along, that what she did was wrong, and that wrong does not go unanswered forever. And I am not going to tell you that those instincts are misguided. They are not. But what I am going to do is take that word apart, layer by layer, and show you that what the universe means by pay is so much larger, so much more thorough, so much more precise than anything your human mind could have designed. By the time we reach the end of this reading, you will understand that justice is not just coming, it is already in motion, and it operates on a scale that will leave absolutely nothing unaddressed. I also want to honor something about you before we go any further, and it is the dignity with which you have handled this situation. You could have retaliated. You could have matched her energy, stooped to her level, fought fire with fire in ways that would have been entirely understandable given what you endured, but you did not. Whether that was a conscious choice or simply a reflection of the kind of person you are at your core, the restraint you have shown has not gone unnoticed by the spiritual forces that observe the way humans navigate conflict and injustice. Your decision to carry this pain without becoming the kind of person who inflicts it on others, that decision carries weight in the spiritual economy. It is currency. It is evidence of character. And it factors directly into the quality and magnitude of what is being returned to you. The universe does not just track what was taken from you. It tracks how you behaved while it was being taken, and your conduct during the darkest chapter of this story has qualified you for a restoration that goes far beyond simple repayment. Let me begin with the first layer, the one closest to the surface, the one you feel most viscerally. There is a reckoning approaching this person's life, and it is not something you need to orchestrate, manage, or even witness to know that it is real. The energy she put into the world when she harmed you did not evaporate. It did not dissolve into nothing the moment she walked away and moved on with her life as if nothing had happened. Energy does not work that way. Every action creates a ripple, and those ripples travel outward until they meet a boundary, and then they return to their source. That is not a wish. That is not a hope built on bitterness. That is the fundamental architecture of how the universe maintains its balance. What she sent out is circling back, and it will arrive with the same force, the same weight, the same emotional charge with which it was originally delivered. She does not get to decide when. She does not get to negotiate the terms. The only thing she gets to decide is how she responds when it lands, and based on what I am sensing about her energy, she is not prepared for what is coming. Not because the universe is cruel, but because she never believed it would actually reach her. But here is where this reading takes a turn you might not expect, because the justice I am sensing is not limited to what happens to her. That is only one dimension of a much larger correction that is underway, and honestly, it is the least interesting dimension. The most powerful thing happening right now is not about her at all. It is about you. It is about what is being restored to you, returned to you, rebuilt for you in the exact places where she caused the most destruction. And this is what I mean when I say the word pay carries more weight than you initially understood. She is not just paying. through her own consequences. She is paying through your elevation, through your healing, through the undeniable, visible, radiant proof that what she tried to take from you was never hers to take, and that it has been multiplied in the process of being returned. I want to sit with this idea for a moment, because I think it needs to land fully before we continue. When someone wrongs you, there is a natural human tendency to measure justice by what happens to the other person. Did they suffer? Did they lose? Did they feel even a fraction of what they put you through? And those questions are understandable. They come from a real place of pain, a real need to know that the universe is not indifferent to your experience. But what I am sensing in this reading is that the universe's definition of justice is far more elegant than simple punishment. True divine justice does not just subtract from the one who caused harm. It adds to the one who was harmed. It does not just hold the offender accountable, it holds the wounded person sacred. And the form this takes in your life, the restoration, the abundance, the peace, the new connections, the opportunities, that is not separate from her consequences. It is part of them. Every beautiful thing that enters your life from this point forward is a direct reflection of the debt being settled. You are not just watching justice unfold. You are living inside it. There is something specific I am picking up about the nature of what this woman took from you, and I want to name it carefully because it matters. What she damaged was not just your circumstances. It was not only your trust in a specific relationship or your stability in a particular area of your life. What she damaged, or rather, what she attempted to damage, was your belief in yourself, your sense of your own worth, your confidence that your perceptions were valid, that your feelings were justified, that your version of events was the true one. She planted seeds of doubt in the soil of your identity, and for a while, those seeds took root. You questioned yourself. You wondered if you were the problem. You replayed conversations and interactions, looking for evidence that you had misread the situation, that you were being unfair, that somehow you had brought this upon yourself. And I need you to hear me when I say that doubt was engineered. It was not organic. It did not grow from truth. It was placed there deliberately, whether she was conscious of it or not, because your doubt served her narrative. Your silence served her comfort. Your confusion made her actions easier to continue without accountability. But the doubt is dying now. I can feel it weakening in your energy like a vine that has been cut from its root. It is still clinging to the walls of your mind in places, still whispering its old questions in moments of vulnerability, but it has lost its source of nourishment. The truth, your truth, the one you knew all along, is reasserting itself with a force that cannot be argued with. And this reassertion of your own knowing is one of the most important things happening in your life right now, because it is the foundation upon which everything else will be built. When you trust your own perceptions again, fully and without apology, you become someone who cannot be manipulated. You become someone whose boundaries are real. You become someone who walks through the world with the quiet authority of a person who knows exactly what happened and is no longer willing to carry anyone else's version of the story. And here is something that I think will shift your perspective in a meaningful way. What this woman attempted to do and what she actually accomplished are two very different things. She attempted to diminish you. She attempted to rewrite your reality. She attempted to position herself as the one who held the power in the dynamic between you, to make you feel small and uncertain and dependent on her version of events. But look at what actually happened. You are still here. You are still standing. Your heart, despite everything, is still capable of feeling, of hoping, of reaching towards something better. Your moral compass, despite every attempt to confuse it, still points true north. She threw everything she had at the foundation of who you are, and the foundation held. It shook, it cracked in places, but it held. And that tells you something critical about the material you are made of, something she clearly underestimated and something the universe has taken careful note of. What Elizabeth Angel Tarot is sensing right now goes beyond the personal dynamics between you and this woman. There is a larger spiritual correction taking place that involves the realignment of your entire energetic field. When someone treats you unjustly, especially over a sustained period, it creates distortions in your energy, places where you have contracted, shrunk, pulled yourself inward to avoid further harm. These contractions affect everything. They affect how you show up in new relationships. They affect the opportunities you allow yourself to see and pursue. They affect the way you hold your body, the way you breathe, the way you move through space. And what I am sensing is that these contractions are releasing. One by one, the places where you made yourself small to survive her presence are expanding back to their natural size. You are reclaiming the space you surrendered, not aggressively, not with the energy of someone who has something to prove, but with the steady, unhurried certainty of someone who remembers how large they were always meant to be. I want to share something about this woman's trajectory that I am picking up, not because focusing on her is the point of this reading, but because I think you need to hear it for your own peace of mind. She is entering a season where the structures she built on the foundation of dishonesty and manipulation are beginning to show their cracks. Not all at once, not in a dramatic, public collapse that you will necessarily see from the outside, but in the private moments, in the small hours, in the spaces where she is alone with the reality of who she is and what she has done. The weight of her own actions is becoming harder to outrun. She has been able to avoid this weight for a while by staying in motion, by surrounding herself with distractions, by constructing a version of events that places her at the center as the victim or the innocent party. But that construction is losing its integrity. The people around her are beginning to sense what you sensed long ago. The narrative she crafted is developing holes that can no longer be patched. And the discomfort she is beginning to feel, that low, persistent hum of accountability that she cannot quite name or locate, is only the beginning. But I want to redirect your attention now, because where your energy goes is where your power flows. And this woman has occupied too much of your mental and emotional real estate for too long. The most radical thing you can do at this point, the thing that will accelerate your own healing and your own justice more than anything else, is to begin withdrawing your attention from her story and reinvesting it in your own. Not because what she did does not matter, it does. Not because you should forgive before you are ready, you should not. But because your life, your beautiful, resilient, still unfolding life, is too important and too full of incoming blessings to spend another season oriented around the person who tried to diminish it. There is something about you specifically that I want to name, because it is relevant to how this entire situation resolves. You are someone who gives people the benefit of the doubt, long past the point where most others would have stopped. You are someone who looks for the good in people even when the evidence of their character is staring you in the face. And this quality, this deep, instinctive generosity of spirit, is not something that needs to be cured or corrected. It is one of the most beautiful things about you. But what is changing now is that this generosity is being paired with discernment in a way it never has been before. You are learning, through the hardest possible teacher, that giving someone the benefit of the doubt is a gift, and that gifts should be given to those who have shown themselves worthy of receiving them. Going forward, your kindness will not be diminished, it will be directed. Your trust will not disappear, it will be earned. And that combination, an open heart, protected by clear eyes, is one of the most powerful configurations a human being can carry. She taught you that without intending to, and that knowledge is now permanently yours. And this is where the reading shifts into territory that I think will surprise you, because what I am sensing about your near future has a quality of grace to it that goes beyond what you might expect in the aftermath of betrayal. There is something genuinely new arriving in your life, something that has no connection to the pain of the past, something that exists in its own right, born from your own worthiness, and not from the debt owed to you by someone else. It is as if the universe is saying, yes, justice is being served, and also separately, independently, because of who you are and what you carry. Here is something beautiful that belongs to you simply because you exist. This is not compensation. This is not a consolation prize for suffering. This is the natural inheritance of a soul that has remained good, remained honest, remained compassionate, even in the face of treatment that gave you every justification to become bitter and closed. Let me describe the texture of what is coming, because it has a feeling to it that I want you to recognize when it appears. It will arrive quietly, without the drama that has characterized so much of your recent experience. There will be a simplicity to it, a rightness, a sense of things clicking into place without force or negotiation. After the chaos and confusion this woman brought into your life, the new things arriving will feel almost startlingly peaceful. You might even question them at first, because you have become so accustomed to complexity and struggle that ease feels suspicious. But I want you to resist the urge to look for the hidden catch. There is no catch. There is no trap. What is arriving is clean, clear, and exactly what it appears to be. Your only job is to receive it without the filters of past experience telling you that good things always come with conditions attached. Something I am picking up very strongly now is a shift in how others perceive you, and this ties directly into the larger justice being served. For a time, this woman may have influenced how certain people saw you. She may have planted seeds of perception that colored your reputation, your relationships, your standing in certain circles, whether through direct manipulation, subtle implication, or simply by controlling the narrative around what happened between you. She created a version of you in other people's minds that was not true. And what I am sensing is that this distortion is correcting itself. People who were deceived are beginning to see more clearly. People who were turned against you are beginning to question the story they were told. This is not happening because you campaigned for it or because you went on a mission to set the record straight. It is happening because truth has its own gravitational pull, and over time, it draws everything back to reality. The people who are meant to see you clearly will see you clearly, and those who choose to remain in the distorted version of events will simply fall out of the orbit of your life, making room for people who never needed a corrected lens to recognize your worth. And as this external correction unfolds, something equally significant is happening in your inner world. There is a reclaiming of joy that has begun, tentatively at first, like the first green shoots pushing through soil after a long winter. You are rediscovering what it feels like to laugh without guarding yourself, to look forward to something without immediately calculating how it could go wrong, to exist in a moment of simple happiness without the shadow of what happened darkening its edges. This reclaiming is not linear. There will be days when the heaviness returns, when a memory surfaces unexpectedly and pulls you back into the emotional landscape of the betrayal. But the trajectory is clear and irreversible. The direction is toward light, toward freedom, toward a version of your life where this woman's actions are no longer the lens through which you interpret every new experience. You are stepping out from under her shadow, and the warmth of your own sunlight is beginning to reach places inside you that have been cold for far too long. I also want to address something that has been sitting quietly beneath the surface of your experience throughout this entire ordeal, and that is the grief. Not just anger, not just the desire for justice, but a real, aching grief for what was lost. Perhaps it was a friendship you believed was genuine. Perhaps it was trust in someone you had opened your heart to. Perhaps it was time, months or years of your life, invested in something that turned out to be built on a lie. That grief is valid, and it does not diminish your strength to feel it. In fact, your ability to grieve what was lost, to honor the pain without letting it harden you, is one of the most powerful indicators that you are going to emerge from this season, not just intact but transformed. Grief, when it is allowed to move through you rather than becoming stuck, has the remarkable ability to carve out new space inside your heart space that did not exist before the loss. Space that can hold more joy, more love, more connection than you previously had capacity for. What she took created a vacancy, and that vacancy is about to be filled with something so much better than what was removed. Now, I need to tell you something about your own energy that Elizabeth Angel Tarot is sensing with absolute clarity. And it is this: you are stronger than you were before this happened. Not in spite of it, because of it. I know that sounds like the kind of thing people say to comfort someone, and I know you might be tired of hearing well-meaning words that do not match the weight of what you have lived through. But I am not saying this to comfort you. I am saying this because it is observably, energetically true. The person you were before this woman entered your life could not have survived what you survived and remained standing. The person you are now, the one who weathered the betrayal, processed the confusion, fought through the self-doubt, and still, somehow, kept the core of who they are intact. That person is formidable, not hard, not closed, not damaged, formidable. There is a difference between someone who has been through fire and was destroyed by it, and someone who has been through fire and emerged refined. You are the latter. The heat did not weaken you. It burnt away what was never truly yours to begin with, the naivety, the willingness to accept less than you deserve, the tendency to give your trust too freely to those who had not earned it, and what remains is pure, solid, unshakable. I am also sensing very clearly that there is a protective energy around you that has been active throughout this entire experience. Even when you felt most alone and most abandoned by the forces you trusted to keep you safe. There were moments, I am certain of this, where things could have been worse, where the damage could have gone deeper, where you were shielded from a consequence or removed from a situation at precisely the right moment, even though at the time it might have felt like random luck or coincidence. That was not coincidence. That was intervention. Something has been watching over you through this entire ordeal, placing its hand on your back when you stumbled, closing certain doors not to trap you but to redirect you away from greater harm. And that protective presence is still here. It is closer now than it has ever been, because the season you are entering requires not protection from danger, but protection of the blessings that are arriving. It is making sure that what is being given to you reaches you intact, uncorrupted, and in its fullest form. There is a particular energy gathering around you now that I can only describe as vindication. Not the petty, ego-driven kind of vindication that comes from watching someone else fail, something deeper and more lasting. It is the vindication of realizing that you were right, that your instincts were accurate, that the discomfort you felt, the red flags you noticed, the moments when your gut screamed that something was wrong, all of it was real, all of it was valid, and history is in the process of confirming every single thing you knew but were made to doubt. That confirmation, when it fully settles into your bones, will unlock something inside you that has been waiting for permission to emerge. A confidence that is not built on approval or external validation, but on the unassailable foundation of your own knowing. You will never again be talked out of what you can feel. You will never again be convinced that your reality is not real. And that alone is worth more than any revenge the human mind could conceive. Let me bring this reading to its close by naming what I sense is the deepest truth beneath everything we have explored together. The word pay, when the universe uses it, does not mean punishment in the small, human sense. It means restoration of balance. It means that what was taken is returned, what was broken is mended, what was dishonored is held sacred again. And it means that the person who disrupted the balance does not get to remain untouched by the imbalance she created. Not because the universe is vengeful, but because the universe is precise. It keeps its accounts with extraordinary detail, and it settles them with extraordinary thoroughness. Nothing is missed. Nothing is forgotten. Nothing is dismissed as too small to matter. The tear you cried alone in the dark counted. The night you could not sleep because your mind would not stop replaying what happened recorded. The moment you smiled in public while something inside you was breaking witnessed. Every single cost you absorbed is written in a ledger that balances itself with mathematical certainty, and that ledger is active right now, correcting itself line by line, entry by entry, restoring what was displaced with a patience and a precision that will ultimately leave you in a position far stronger than the one you occupied before she ever entered your life. There is also something I want to say about the way time works in these situations, because I know the waiting has been one of the most painful parts. Human justice operates on human timelines, sometimes quickly, sometimes not at all. But divine justice operates outside of time. And what that means practically is that the consequences are not confined to a single event or a single moment of reckoning. They unfold across the entire arc of a person's life. What this woman set in motion when she chose to act with dishonesty and cruelty will ripple through her experiences in ways she will not always be able to trace back to their origin. A relationship that fails for reasons she cannot understand, an opportunity that slips away despite her best efforts, a nagging sense of emptiness that no external success can fill. These are not random misfortunes. They are echoes, and they will continue to sound until the balance is fully restored. You do not need to watch for them. You do not need to track them. You only need to know that the system works and that your chapter in the system is shifting from the column of loss to the column of restoration. You are standing at the intersection of two truths that can both be held at the same time. The first truth is that this woman will face the full weight of what she set in motion. Not on your timeline, not in the way you might script it, but with a completeness that leaves no corner of the ledger unbalanced. The second truth is that your life, independent of anything that happens to her, is opening into something so beautiful, so aligned, so deeply worthy of the person you have fought to remain through all of this, that one day, and that day is closer than you think, the pain she caused will be the smallest part of your story. Not because it did not matter, not because it should be minimized or forgotten, but because what grew from it, what blossomed in the soil she thought she had poisoned, was so much greater, so much more luminous, so much more enduring than anything she could have imagined when she chose to act the way she did. Thank you for trusting this message. Thank you for your honesty, your courage, and your willingness to stay open to hope even after everything you have endured. Thank you for not becoming what was done to you, for choosing to remain soft in the places where hardness would have been the easier and more understandable response. If you felt seen in these words, if something in this reading answered a question you have been carrying in the quiet, if it put language to a knowing that has been sitting wordlessly in your chest, I want you to know that Elizabeth Angel Tarot is always here for you, a space where your truth is honored without qualification, your pain is acknowledged without minimization, and the justice unfolding in your life is spoken aloud with clarity and conviction. So you never have to wonder if you are the only one who sees it. You are not the only one who sees it. The universe sees it too. It has always seen it, and it is already responding with a thoroughness that will, in time, leave you with nothing to wonder about and everything